You're almost asleep, and then you're falling. There's no warning. One moment you're drifting off, sinking pleasantly into the dark, and the next, your whole body lurches. A sudden, violent sense that you've stepped off a ledge, missed a stair, dropped through the mattress. Your leg kicks or your arm flails, your heart jumps, and you snap awake with a gasp, gripping the bed, certain for a split second that you were actually falling. But you're not. You're lying safely in bed, exactly where you were. Nothing moved, nothing dropped, and yet the fall felt completely, terrifyingly real. But the real answer is far stranger than a bad dream. That jolt has a name, and it opens a window onto one of the most mysterious transitions your body makes every single day. The strange, fragile handover between waking and sleep. Falling asleep is not the smooth dimming of a light that it feels like. It is a complex shutdown sequence with different systems powering down at different speeds. And that lurch of falling is what it feels like when those systems briefly fall out of sync. When part of your brain, for just a moment, gets the wrong idea about what's happening to your body. And once you understand what's really going on in that instant, you will see that the border between being awake and being asleep is far weirder and far more delicate than you ever imagined. Let's start with the name, because it has a wonderfully precise one. That sudden jerk is called a hypnic jerk, sometimes a hypnagogic jerk, from the word hypnagogia, the transitional state between wakefulness and sleep. And the first thing to understand is that it is extraordinarily common. The majority of people experience these jerks. If you've had one, you are utterly normal. It is one of the most widespread, universal experiences in all of human sleep. And yet, almost no one knows why it happens. Even now, scientists don't have one single fully confirmed explanation. But there are some compelling theories, and they point at something genuinely fascinating about how you shut down for the night. To understand the leading ideas, you first have to abandon a comforting illusion. The idea that falling asleep is a single, smooth event. It isn't. Sleep is not a switch that flips from on to off. It is more like a large building being powered down for the night. Floor by floor, system by system. Your muscles begin to relax. Your heart rate slows. Your breathing deepens. Your brain activity starts to change its rhythm. Your conscious awareness begins to dissolve. But crucially, all of these things do not happen at exactly the same moment or at exactly the same rate. There's a brief, chaotic window where some systems have already begun to shut down while others are still partly online. And it's in that messy, overlapping transition that the hypnic jerk seems to live. Here is the first major theory, and it's beautifully simple. As you fall asleep, the parts of your brain that control your muscles begin to power down, releasing their grips so your body can go limp and still for the night. But this shutdown isn't perfectly smooth or perfectly timed. According to this idea, the hypnic jerk is a kind of glitch in that process, a last spontaneous misfire of the motor system as it powers down. A burst of nerve signals escapes as control is handed over, and your muscles suddenly contract, producing that involuntary twitch or kick. In this view, the jerk is essentially electrical noise, the crackle and pop of your movement system going offline, like an old machine that shutters once as it powers down. But that only explains the twitch. It doesn't explain the feeling, the vivid, gut-wrenching sensation of actually falling. And that's where the second theory comes in. And it's the one that reveals something profound about how your mind works. Your brain, it turns out, is not a passive recorder of what happens to you. It is a relentless storyteller, constantly generating explanations for the sensations it receives. So imagine what happens in that half-asleep moment. Suddenly, without any warning, your brain detects a jolt, a sharp, involuntary muscle contraction, your body lurching for no reason it's aware of. Now your brain has a problem. It's half asleep, its normal flow of information is scrambled, and it has just received this strange, powerful physical signal with no context, no explanation. So it does what brains always do. It reaches for a story. It rapidly, unconsciously constructs an explanation that would make sense of a sudden lurch of the body. And one of the most primal, deeply wired explanations available, one your nervous system has been shaped by for millions of years, is simple. You are falling. Think about that. In the space of a fraction of a second, your sleeping brain feels an unexplained jolt and essentially invents a falling sensation, sometimes even a brief flash of a dream image, stepping off a curb, tripping, dropping to explain the physical twitch it just detected. The feeling of falling isn't the cause of the jerk. It may be the story your brain tells after the fact. A split-second hallucination generated to explain a sensation it couldn't otherwise account for. Your mind, caught off guard in the fog between waking and sleeping, scrambles to narrate its own body, and the story it reaches for is a fall. And there may be an even deeper, more ancient layer to this. Some researchers have proposed a fascinating evolutionary angle. Think about our distant primate ancestors who slept in trees. For an animal sleeping on a branch, the moment of drifting off, when the muscles suddenly go slack, would be genuinely dangerous. Total relaxation could mean losing your grip and actually falling. So there may have been real survival value in a built-in mechanism that, at the very moment of muscle relaxation, jolted the body back to attention, a reflexive double-check against the deadly possibility of dozing off and tumbling out of the tree. In this view, the hypnic jerk might be an ancient echo, a leftover safety reflex from a time when falling asleep in the wrong place, in the wrong way, could genuinely mean falling to your death. The very sensation, falling, that your brain conjures may be the fingerprint of that primeval fear, still wired into the moment your body lets go. Now, weave these threads together, and the whole strange experience clicks into place. As you drift off, your systems begin powering down at different rates, in that fragile, overlapping handover between wakefulness and sleep. Somewhere in that messy transition, your motor system misfires, sending a jolt through your body. Your half-asleep storytelling brain catches that jolt, has no context for it, and reaches for the most ancient, primal explanation available that you are falling, perhaps drawing on a reflex forged in ancestors who really could fall while they slept. The twitch and the terror, the kick and the plunge, all of it comes together in a fraction of a second, and you wake with a gasp, clutching a bed that never moved. This reveals something genuinely beautiful about the strangeness of your own mind, that border you cross every single night, from waking into sleep, feels like nothing at all. It feels like simply drifting off. But it is one of the most complex and mysterious things your body does, a delicate, staged shutdown of consciousness itself, so intricate that it can briefly misfire and convince you, with total conviction, that you are plummeting through space while you lie perfectly still. The hypnic jerk is a rare crack in the smooth surface of sleep, a moment when the seams show, when you get to feel directly just how strange and effortful the act of losing consciousness really is. So the next time you're drifting off and your body suddenly lurches and you snap awake, convinced for an instant that you were falling, don't be alarmed. Recognize what just happened. Your brain, powering itself down for the night, hit a tiny bump in an ancient, elaborate sequence, felt a jolt it couldn't explain, and told itself the oldest story it knows. You weren't falling. You were simply crossing the strange, invisible border into sleep. And for one flickering moment, you got to feel the crossing itself, the seam between two worlds that you pass through, unnoticed, every night of your life. You came here wondering why you feel like you're falling as you fall asleep. But the real answer was never about falling at all. It was about the astonishing, fragile machinery of consciousness switching itself off, the staggered shutdown, the storytelling brain, the ancient reflexes still humming beneath the surface. That lurch in the dark is not a malfunction. It is a glimpse behind the curtain, a reminder that even something as ordinary as falling asleep is a profound and delicate act, and that every night, without knowing it, you perform one of the strangest transformations a mind can make, letting go of the waking world entirely and trusting yourself to disappear into the dark.